Masterclass has some pretty high-profile teachers in programming, but I would like to share with you a little bit about some of the frustrations I have when trying to use the application. When I load the app, what I'm trying to do typically is either pick up in a video course that I had started on my computer or continue listening to a lecture that I was previously listening to on the phone. And so the very first thing that I typically want to do most often is pick up where I left off. And as you'll see, it's pretty difficult, I find, to do that. Typically, when you load the application, this is the home screen that you see. As you scroll down, there's a number of potential courses that you can take. You can slide along within each row to see content. And so this is great for exploring. Some of the criticisms I might have is that none of this at all seems filtered to the courses I've watched. I've watched a reasonable number of courses on the platform, and it seems that there's absolutely no filtering happening whatsoever within, for instance, the same subject area or similar types of content. It's just showing me really everything here. And so that's a little bit of a disappointment that the home screen, from what I can tell, doesn't seem really curated or customized. It's got some filters up here that I've never actually used. The audio-friendly one seems to just show me the same content. And so I'll load the app, and I'm trying to find where I left off. At one point, I thought that the My List feature could help me get there. But the reality is that it just shows me a few select videos that I happen to have clicked the Save to My List feature. And if I clicked the Save to My List feature, it almost was something I clicked when I started the video. It wasn't when I left off or put down my phone or took out my AirPods after watching several more videos. So these are almost always lessons that I've long completed in the My List feature. And so what I do is I usually switch to the second tab here, and then I'll just scroll down to find whatever one I'm last on, and then I'll click it, and then it'll start typically in the wrong place. I finished lesson 1, and so then what I'll do is I'll go to click See All Lessons, and then I'll scroll down. See, here we go. It's showing that lesson 1 is completed, but as you saw when we loaded the app, it was starting on lesson 1. And then I'll scroll down. I'll find the lesson I'm on. Here we are, lesson 2, and then start it.
Lesson 1.
That's a lot of clicks, to be honest, to perform, or at least what I think is a pretty routine action, which is to pick off where you left off. Imagine if you had to do this in Audible, for instance, or in podcast apps, where every time you wanted to pick up in your book, you had to go through such a complicated series of steps to press play, which is what you have to do here. The toggle to audio only, I think, is a nice new introduction to the app in the last few weeks. It allows the application to overlay the titles, which are on screen with a synthetic voiceover, so that if you aren't looking at the screen, you can still see the overlay titles. I think that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if it's a little bit deceptive, because sometimes when people switch to audio mode, they might think that they're saving memory or bandwidth in terms of their, not memory, but their saving cellular data. But my impression is that it's just turning off the video and then bringing on the audio overlay. Just because when you switch back to video mode, the video is so crisp and so quick to turn on that it seems like it's downloading the whole media file as a video. And so that's just perhaps a potential concern with that. And so that's the big pet peeve I have, is it's really hard to pick up where I left off. If I click the M here in the top left corner, it doesn't take me back home. I kind of wish it would. What else is there? There's a search tab, which has its own tab. I had put the word Frank here in before, but this is actually the first time I've ever used the search, to be honest. So I think it's occupying quite a lot of space, one of the 4 tabs in the bottom, even though it's something which I really don't ever use. And then we have downloads, which I don't use. And what other functions do we have here? we have this button here, which I've never actually used before. What is... Oh, this is... I don't know what to make of this. If you know who these people are, this is kind of a cool way to explore the application. If you don't know anything about any of these people, it might not be the best way to browse. You might prefer to have a way where you could browse and actually see more about what it is that this random man in a suit here does. If you click, for instance, on Werner here, what happens?
Many filmmakers are out there to gain inner growth. It's so
cool.
stupid.
So it plays a video. I mean, does this help? Is this how people are going to browse? Oh, I see. It shows you if you're in full screen mode.
What I've loved about history,
the subtitle about what they're teaching. It's an interesting way, but
welcome to
I don't know
Steve
if it's better than
Martin's
just the list.
Masterclass.
And
I hope you got your list.
I can't zoom out. Once you've zoomed in,
you may think you know what
you'll need
a tomato or a carrot tastes like.
Can you click and go back? Nope. You can't
You
zoom
may
back
think
out.
you
You're
know
zoomed in permanently, from what I can tell. I really wish that there was just a simple way to see the last videos I watched in a list format, and I could pick up either in the last video I watched or in the last class that I was watching. That doesn't seem to be a feature on here. We have a mailbox. What is the mailbox? Email account. I have no idea. I do have an email account because that's how I'm logged into Masterclass. I definitely have Gmail on this phone, and so it's not clear exactly what that feature does. And then we have a profile picture here, and the profile, I've never actually looked at this. What is this? It shows the classes that I'm somehow enrolled in. I don't know how I enrolled in these. And then it shows the classes that I apparently completed. And it's showing the same class in both. So it looks like I both enrolled in tech advertising and I completed tech advertising. It would be nice just to show it in one list or the other. But this is incomplete because I feel that I've watched quite a number of other series, but it's not registering that I've completed that series. It might be, for instance, that I ended up skipping over 1 or 2 minutes in the middle of a series. And so despite watching over, let's say, 95 or 98% of the content of that series, it's still thinking that it's an incomplete series. So there we go. That's the Masterclass app. I think some of the content in some of the lectures is really exceptional. Some of the courses is a bit more entertainment and filler than content overall. Some of them are really very well done. But the application, for my use at least, is really sluggish. And these are some suggestions on how I would optimize it. I'd have one part, which is the home page, which is really focused on getting you back to where you left off really quickly. Launch the last video you were on, or launch the last series, or be able to view the history of your most previously watched videos, or videos which you had added to your watch later list. And then I would have another tab at the bottom, which is called Explore. And then if you click the Explore tab, you get some sort of a list of areas, or you have maybe something like this on your Explore tab. I think this is a far better way to explore. I would make these people larger, though. There isn't enough room on a phone for a split screen design. I would take this left bar and insert these as headers above this section. And so as you scroll, the header, music, and entertainment would lock to the top of the screen. You would then scroll through all those courses with that header locked. And then when you got to the next section, writing in 12 classes would again be a header. It would then lock itself into the top of the screen. It would give you much more width on the phone, which would allow the text to be larger, which would allow that icon image to be larger. All this is far too small, I believe. I would dump this section entirely, to be honest.
Why does it check?
Just for the sake of brevity. The search feature could be added at the top of this page. It doesn't need its own dedicated page. The downloads section shouldn't have its own section. I would, on your main page, which is showing you the classes and the videos you've watched, have a way to essentially enable download only mode, a toggle switch. And when you click that toggle switch, it would essentially remove from your list all of the videos which are no longer downloaded. And then when you would enable it, you would have the option to click on videos, just like, for instance, in Google Music, or to be able to add those to your download queue. And so when you're looking at your videos and the courses which you are in, you can see if you've downloaded a single video or the whole course. And so that would be, I think, the general suggestions in terms of one part to explore and one part to show what you're watching. I don't understand this Mailbox, and that's just my general impressions on the application so far.